I was just coming up for retirement, and somebody came to our church who used to be a pastor there, and he came to explain what he was doing at the church that he was in at the time. And one of the things that he was talking about was debt advice. They were looking at setting up a centre for themselves, and when he said that word, something kind of went off in my head. And pay attention to this. This is something that you could be doing. I didn't know anything at all about debt advice at all, but I said I was coming up for retirement, and so I had some more time on my hands, and so I started looking into it, and very, very slowly over a period of years, really, found out what it was. We looked at Christians Against Poverty, dug around there, went up and saw them. And we got to the point in the church where we were almost going with Christians Against Poverty. And then somebody, one of the elders in the church, said, "I've heard about community money advice. Never heard of them before. Go along to one of their conferences." So I went along, and something inside said, yes, this is what we need to be doing. And so it really started from there. I had absolutely no background in debt advice, didn't know anything about it, but we started from there, and 5.5 years later we are where we are. So that's really where I started. I have absolutely no background in this. When I worked for an insurance company. My job was statistical analysis. I was working in pricing. I was analysing vast quantities of data with very powerful computers and surrounded by a small team of incredibly intelligent people. And it was nothing whatever to do with people. It was very analytical, and nothing in my job prepared me for doing this. When I started Debt Advice, suddenly I was dealing with a whole range of people. Young people, old people, single, married, divorced, mental health issues, learning difficulties, a whole range of people. And nothing in my previous life had prepared me for this. But somehow I found I can do it, and I can only put that down to God. Somehow in the intervening time I've been a Christian, He's prepared me to do this. And I've only just discovered it by doing it. Certainly if you told me 6 or 7 years ago that I'd be talking to people, helping them with money, I would never have believed it. So that's what I do. And that's kind of what motivates me, the fact that God started me off on this and I keep doing it. I think it's the transformation that we see in people. Thinking about this question, I'm thinking about a lady that I spoke to recently. We'd been helping her for quite a while, and she then come to the end of the journey and we were helping her. And I was asking her, what did it feel like to be in debt? And what she said was, I felt so small. And that really struck me. She had a lot of problems, but she was faced with these anonymous, huge companies who were writing her letters demanding that she do things that were impossible. And she didn't know how to cope. And she was just an insignificant little person. And she just said, I felt so small. And I looked at her saying this, and she was bright, she was smiling, she had a new hairdo, and she just looked completely different from the person that I first saw. And she had a lot of issues. There were other agencies helping her, but we'd done the bit about money, and we'd helped her, and suddenly made me realise just how massively important that bit was to her, and that we'd helped her in it, and the fact that she was transformed by partly what we did and partly what other people did as well. But that's really the kind of thing, that's what motivates me to do what I do. I have never been in debt in the way that other people have been, in the way that the people I help have been. But if something happened in my life that meant that suddenly my income went through the floor, and suddenly all the debts that previously I could pay, I couldn't, and I didn't know what to do, what would I want to happen? Would I want someone to come along beside me and say, I know what to do, I can help you, I'll stick with you, I'll walk with you through this, I'll get you to the other side? Would I want that if I was in that position? And that's, of course, is yes, that's exactly what I do. So if I can do that for other people, why would I not want to do that?